HD3 Mount Dora, Orlando. News Radio 102.5 WFLA, an iHeart radio station.
A deadly school shooting in Washington State. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Frantic parents rushed to Freeman High School in Rockford, Washington, after word of the shooting in the tiny town near the border with Idaho. Fox's Gernal Scott has this live.
Lisa, one student was killed in this incident. The shooter, also a student, is in custody, caught with help from school staff. Spokane County Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich says when the shooter attempted to fire, the first gun he tried to use jammed.
He went to his next weapon. A student walked up to him, engaged him, and that student was shot.
That student died. 3 other victims were taken to an area trauma center where they are said to be doing well. Federal investigators joined local police to look into what may have led to the shooting, Lisa.
Gernal, President Trump met with Republicans and Democrats this afternoon to lay out his plan for tax reform.
We're looking for the middle class, and we're looking for jobs. Jobs meaning companies. So we're looking at for the middle class, and we're looking at jobs.
He says he's still pushing for a 15% rate for businesses and would like to see a much lower rate for individuals. Fox's Jared Halpern live on Capitol Hill.
Texas Blue Dog Democrat Henry Cuellar was one of the moderates talking tax reform this afternoon with the president.
He says, well, we're going to give this a shot. And if it doesn't, we'll go back the old way, which is just working with Republicans.
Cuellar believes there is compromise to be found, not just on tax reform, but perhaps immigration too, and legislation to protect young immigrants brought to the U.S. illegally as children from deportation. Republican leaders want a tax reform bill done by year's end and say they'll release a legislative outline later this month. Lisa.
Jared, on Wall Street, the Dow gained 39 points, the Nasdaq up 5, the S&P adding a point. All three are at record highs. Apple fell 0.8% a day after unveiling its new lineup of iPhones. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Well, if you're heading out on I-4, eastbound slowing down at State Road 536, the right lane is blocked on the exit ramp there. Also, the same problem in the westbound direction on the interstate at State Road 434. Right lane is also blocked from the entrance ramp for repairs. For more up-to-the-minute traffic updates on your route, download the new Total Traffic app powered by Traffic Karma. And if you see traffic problems, call the Safe Touch Security Tip Line at 866-676-8477. From the Traffic Center, I'm Paige Carrera.
Let's kick it off! Your shot at a trip to our iHeartRadio Music Festival now. Text the nationwide keyword Blackjack to 200-200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply. That's Blackjack to 200-200.
He's going to hit over 300 this season.
No way, dude.
I don't think so.
Here's a performance stat no one wants to talk about. Erectile dysfunction affects half of all men over 40. That's 50%. If you're struggling with ED and other therapies haven't worked, isn't it time to feel like yourself again? Learn about a long-lasting solution from Coloplast to get you back in the game. Visit edsolution.com. That's edsolution.com.
The storm is over.
A lot of downed lines around here, tens of thousands without power.
But the recovery continues.
We had power outage reports in Oviedo. We had power outage reports in the Cape. We had power outage reports in Titusville.
7 million homes and businesses are without power.
Stay tuned for the latest Operation Stormwatch on News Radio 102.5.
Here's your News Radio 102.5 exclusive AccuWeather forecast. Wednesday night, patchy clouds with a low of 70 to 76. Thursday, some sun with a shower or thunderstorm around, and humid with a high of 87 to 90. Thursday night, mostly cloudy and humid with a low of 72 to 76. Friday, times of clouds and sun with a thunderstorm, and it's humid with a high of 87 to 89. News, weather, and traffic every 10 minutes in the morning. I'm Alex Rabb, News Radio, a 102.5 WFLA.
WFLA is available everywhere you want to listen on our free iHeartRadio app. Download it now.
It's Drive Time with Holly. Business and consumer news you can trust. I mean, what else are you going to do sitting in traffic?
Yes, and good evening, everyone. This is Drive Time with Holly here on News Radio 102.5 WFLA. I am your host for the hour, Michael Yaffe, and I'm joined by the one and only Holly Sammons herself, who is the CEO and president of the Better Business Bureau of Central Florida. And how are you this evening, Holly?
That's good. Just to clear up the confusion, they thought Holly had a really deep voice for a minute there.
No. Yep, you are the expert. I'm just the one who guides us along the way here. But how are you this evening? We had quite a week here in Central Florida.
Right. So the hype and the excitement of this new show, we were really looking forward to it. And then Irma had other plans for us. So we've been dealing with the hurricane cleanup and the prep and housing employees and you name it.
Yeah, well, but we have a lot of information to talk about, speaking of the hurricane, through this show, because there's no doubt there's a lot of people out there who have a lot of questions about the aftermath of the hurricane, what they need to do, what they need to prepare for. But first, I know many people are just trying to get their power back. And did you lose power at all?
I did. I lost power up until yesterday evening. But because of the age of my home and I have a young child, plus making sure that my staff was communicating, that I had open lines of communication with my staff, and also getting information out to the media about the storm and about the cleanup, I went ahead and took the easy way out, if you will, and went ahead and put my family up at a hotel just to cross our fingers and to ride it out that way. And I went home to no power. So
I don't know if anyone had an easy way out.
No,
in Central Florida,
I hedged my bets.
Yeah, definitely. So, but there was probably a lot of people at that hotel, I'm guessing.
It was packed. There were thousands of people. There were linesmen. There were tree guys from all over the country who were staging there, getting ready to roll out. There were local, Central Floridians. There were people who were on vacation and got to experience their first hurricane.
Can you imagine being on vacation? No. You're in Orlando, Florida. You're probably going to Disney World. And, it's not quite the amusement park you were wanting to visit, a hurricane.
No, they were huddled around windows, and it was an equal mix of shock and horror and fascination. So, for them, they didn't have to worry about their homes necessarily, but certainly their vacations were derailed.
Yes, and before I want to talk a little bit more about hurricane stuff, but I do want to give our listeners an opportunity to get to know you. And tell them a little bit about yourself. Tell them about your position with the Better Business Bureau and what you hope to inform them with this show.
Yeah, so I've been in Central Florida for about 15 years. I've been with Better Business Bureau most of those 15 years. And the amount of information that we try to push out to the public through Better Business Bureau has increased. And obviously, we have tried to add additional streams with social media, with lots of TV and radio interviews.
Yeah, you have to today, especially social media.
Yeah, there's just a lot of information to get out there. And nowadays, consumers are even more empowered through reviews and complaints and doing their own research. They want more and more information, so we hope to be here to give it to them.
Right, and you are listening to Drive Time with Holly here on News Radio 102.5 WFLA. We're speaking with, of course, Holly herself, Holly Sammons, who is the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau. And we were just talking, the main focus of the show today is obviously going to be Hurricane Irma, how it's going to affect businesses, how it's going to affect consumers, how it's going to affect the Central Florida economy, and how it's going to affect possibly mortgage payments. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. And I know a lot of people, we talked about how people are losing power. That was the first thing that's on everyone's mind. I'm still out of power, believe it or not. I was lucky enough to stay at my parents' house. Yeah. During the storm, I was here throughout the whole storm.
I have employees that are setting up air mattresses and setting up their own little corners of the office because they still are without power. So we're happy to house them and share our air conditioning and try to make this process a little bit less painful if we can.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's a lot of people in Central Florida that are doing exactly what we're doing. I'm staying at my parents' house. People are staying in the business. Some people are probably staying in this building at the radio station. So that's definitely going on. I think the power companies, though, are doing a pretty good job.
Absolutely.
Considering.
Yeah, I mean, they've got hundreds of thousands of people to get back online. I know you can drive past the mall, and there are people, hanging out at the mall, hanging out where they get good cell service, lingering at long lunches and long meals for air conditioning.
Yeah, that's the key right there.
Yeah,
I don't know how people lived in Central Florida or Florida in general without air conditioning for years. I guess that's why it wasn't as busy back then in Florida as it is now, but I can't imagine how they were able to do it.
Yeah, once that heat and humidity came back, that's when the real survival starts to kick in.
Right. So, and we're going to get into a lot of good information for people today dealing with the hurricane, because I know one of the first things that a lot of consumers have to deal with, they go to their house, they look at their house, they see shingles off the roof, they see the fence down, they see if there was flooding, there's definitely repairs to the floors that need to be done, the drywall needs to be taken out, all kinds of stuff that needs to be addressed, trees need to be cut, and the first thing you think of is, who do I call?
Who do I trust?
Who do I trust?
Yeah.
Who do I call? Where do I go? How do I know that they're the right person for me? Because those scammers are on their way.
Well,
they
not
are on
just
their way
that.
right now.
Right, not just that, but most of us have the money to spend one time, and I don't have money to pay to repair my swimming pool or pay to repair my screen enclosure 2 or 3 times. So when I pay for it the first time, I need to choose someone that I can trust that's going to do the job the right way, and they're going to finish the job. They're going to show up. And especially when it also gets into paying deductibles, filing insurance claims, you may already be without power. So making a decision in a crisis is tough, and people oftentimes rush to a decision. And
because they just want it done,
That's right. And people will come into town depending on that, and we have storm chasers that'll be in town depending on taking advantage of people.
Yeah, and if anyone has any questions for Holly Sammons, who is the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau, they can text to 23680 if you're a consumer out there and you're wondering if you have specific questions about specific repairs, what to do next, who to contact. Just text us to 23680. But it's not only consumers. We're not going to only get into the consumer aspect, but also business.
Yeah.
Small businesses in the area, not only are they losing revenue right now, but they might have damage to their business. They might have long-term damage to their business. They might have employees affected. So we'll want to get into some of how they've been affected as well.
Yeah, that's a big piece of the story, because you have business owners who have their own homes. They have damage to their business, like you said, loss of revenue. And for them, it could quickly snowball into a bad situation.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So a lot of business. I mean, I know a lot of businesses just driving in just to the show this afternoon. There's still a lot of businesses that are closed.
Yeah, there are restaurants and grocery stores who have really taken a hit with a loss of their, the contents of their freezers and their refrigerators. They can't open back up because they don't have any food to sell. So it's not just the traditional businesses you might think of. There are other service providers that are hurting right now and trying to get back on their feet.
Right. And in the next segment, we're actually going to get into something that I hadn't heard of before, but we have an expert. We have attorney Justin Clark, who's going to be joining us in a couple minutes, and he's going to get into what's called mortgage forbearance.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's something that I didn't even know existed, but it's something that I know there are a lot of people listening right now who want information on that, especially with they're going to have to deal with repair payments. They're going to have to deal with anything else dealing with repairing with their home, and just if they had evacuations, they have to deal with bringing those family members back, and just a bunch of different questions that we're going to get into. So we'll get with Justin Clark after the break as well. He's going to talk about what you need to know about your mortgage, what you need to know about mortgage forbearance. We are going to get into more information for consumers and small businesses later in the show as well. And we'll take your questions. You can text to 23680. You are listening to Drive Time with Holly. I am your host, Michael Yaffe, and we will be right back.
Are you thinking of selling your home? Hi, this is Deborah Roberts with important news for you. Why work with an ordinary real estate agent when you can call one of the top real estate teams in Central Florida? You may have heard Laura's show on Sunday morning right here on WFLA. That's right. Call my friend Laura Peterson at Frontgate Realty. Why waste time with an ordinary agent when Laura may already have a buyer for you? In fact, Laura and her team currently have buyers in their exclusive Buyers in Waiting program. The fact is they have more buyers, which means more money and a faster sale. sale for you. Laura's time frame for selling homes is 35% faster than the average agent, and at the same time, they also get their clients 8% more money. Laura is so confident that your home will sell that they'll guarantee it in writing. If your home doesn't sell, she'll buy it at a price acceptable to you. That's right, guaranteed. So if you're selling your home, call Laura Peterson today at 407-566-2555. Again, that's 407-566-2555. Or go to laurahasthebuyers.com.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Ken Fisher, founder and executive chairman of Fisher Investments.
We don't sell annuities. We'll never sell annuities. Most annuities have nosebleed level fees, don't do what the customer thinks they do, have tremendous tax problems, are hard to get out of once you're in them, and are extremely confusing.
Don't let the sound of guaranteed income lead you to financial headache. Call now for your free report, Annuity Insights, and find out why legendary money manager Ken Fisher hates annuities. Call 1-800-771-0606 and see what you might be getting into.
Anything you want to do with annuities, there's a better way to do. If you have more than $500,000 to invest, talk to us.
Get your free report, Annuity Insights, and find out the 9 questions every annuity investor should ask. Call now, 1-800-771-0606. That's 1-800-771-0606.
I'm James Furr. I'm a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran, and I have hepatitis C. My main focus was to take care of hepatitis C. Taking Balance of Nature did other things for me. I was feeling more energetic. My mental acuity had increased. When I play golf, I would notice that bending over to line up a putt, I would have a bit of a struggle to stand back up. But even now, 10 years later, I stand up better than I did then. Taking Balance of Nature, getting fruits and vegetables into your system is just another way to deal with hepatitis C. I will live happily with hepatitis C instead of feeling like I want to die because someone's trying to cure me of it. But thanks to Balance of Nature, I live a normal, happy, healthy, pain-free life.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-321-0490 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code IHEART.
Hi, Rick Edelman here. Ever wonder why my wife Jean and I devoted our career to teaching people about personal finance? Everyone deserves the best possible advice for your personal finances and managing your money. My wife Jean and I started our firm to give you the service and expertise you deserve, regardless of how much you have to invest. You don't have to be a millionaire to talk to an Edelman financial planner. Whether you're worried if you're saving enough for retirement or planning for a trip around the world, we'll help you figure it all out. Let us help you achieve your financial goals, just like we've helped thousands of families just like yours.
Ranked the #1 independent financial advisor in the nation 3 times by Barron's. Call 888-PLAN-RICK. That's 888-PLAN-RICK. Or visit us at rickedelman.com. That's ricedelman.com. Barron's Rankings of Advisors has 3 major components: assets managed, revenue produced, and quality of the advisor's practice. Investment returns are not considered. Only advisors who apply are ranked. Awarded in 2009, 11, and 12.
Welcome back to Drive Time with Holly. Business and consumer news you can trust.
Yes, and welcome back to the show, everyone. This is Drive Time with Holly. I am your host, Michael Yaffe, joined by Holly Sammons, of course, and we talk business and consumer news, and there's no doubt that the biggest thing in business and consumer news locally in Central Florida that everyone is thinking about who's listening to the show right now is Hurricane Irma, which finally left us. It's finally gone.
Finally blown out.
It seems like it took forever to get out of here.
Yeah, especially when you were waiting for either the storm to pass or you're waiting for your power to come on. It seems like it took forever to move past it.
Yeah, that's true. And there are still a lot of people who are waiting for their power to come back on. I think the power companies are doing the best they can.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think originally there was over 3 million customers in the state of Florida that did not have power.
Yeah, and I can tell you from firsthand perspective, I was at a hotel during the storm, and certainly reinforcements have been brought in from other states. The local linesmen and the local employees are not alone. They're standing shoulder to shoulder with people from out of state to try to get the job done that much faster.
Yeah, my sister was on the 417, I believe, today, and she took video of power trucks from other states, just one after the other, passing her by. So they're definitely working hard. If you have any questions, by the way, dealing with what to do with your home, what to do with repairs after Hurricane Irma now has passed, and you have a lot of questions, you can text to 23680. But one thing I want to get to, and it's something that I admit I had not heard of before, but it's something I think a lot of our listeners are going to be very curious about.
Yeah.
And that's the idea of mortgage forbearance. So what we did is we brought in an expert, attorney Justin Clark, who's going to tell us all about what exactly mortgage forbearance is, if it's available for people out there who might be struggling with some payments and some other things as well. But first off, how are you, Justin?
What's up, Yaffe? Good to see you, man. How you been?
I'm pretty good. Good to see you.
Some old friends, Tom Benson. It's great to be here, guys. I hope everyone weathered the storm okay. Obviously.
Yeah, how'd you weather it?
Well, great until today, actually. So, no power loss whatsoever. I watched DirecTV throughout the entire storm.
Seriously, you didn't lose satellite at all.
And then I come here to talk to Holly Salmons, and God turned the AC out in my car.
Really?
I didn't lose power the entire time.
At least you got the message.
On my way here.
Yeah, you have to suffer like the rest
went out
of us.
in my car. I think I probably deserve it. But anyway, it's great to see it. I think, Holly, you made an outstanding point earlier. We only have money to pay once, right? I mean, that's what it is. I mean, how many people out there really have enough cash sitting in their bank account to repair a roof or repair the whole screened-in enclosure more than one time?
Those catastrophic expenses they really rack up.
And they really don't. And it does make me nervous because there are so many people who thrive on coming here after a storm and taking advantage of people. And that is what scares me. And I think, Holly, you're doing a great thing. This is a fantastic show to really fill in people on the fact that there are some bad, unscrupulous business people out there.
But there are some great ones.
Oh,
and
no
so
doubt.
To talk about what the bad guys are doing and talk about what a storm chaser looks like in this case really helps to set the divide between the good guys and the bad guys and help consumers make a good decision the first time. But getting back to the mortgages, like you said, you've budgeted for your mortgage, you've budgeted for your common expenses, but then when you have to replace every window in your house or you have to replace carpeting or flooring because of a leak, now all of a sudden I have to choose between making these repairs to keep my family safe, to repair my property, which is my most valuable asset, or paying my mortgage. Is mortgage forbearance something that's an option for everyone?
I think so. I mean, I really think that if the decision is I have water leaking into my home and it's going to destroy my home, or pay the mortgage, which is your biggest monthly expense, what do? I think you have to reach out to your mortgage company. There's no doubt about it. Now, look, there are a lot of big, bad mortgage companies out there, but I think in these types of situations, let's give them a little bit of credit. Normally, they will come up with some type of program to help you maybe don't pay for 90 days. And I think that's the forbearance or a deferment. And here's what they'll normally do. If you call them, they will normally say, okay, look, you don't pay us for 90 days. 90 days is normally the magic number, so to speak.
Hey, 90 days can help.
Yeah.
It can help a lot.
No doubt it can help. And then they will add that 90 days worth of payments to the end of the mortgage.
Oh, okay, so at the end of 90 days, I'm not going to owe 3 months payment. They're just going to tack it onto the length of my mortgage.
More times than not, that's what's going to happen. Now, I want you to be careful, though. I want you to have something in writing from them saying that this is what they're going to do. Because here's what makes me a little nervous about it sometimes. What if they ding your credit? You know, you've worked hard to keep your credit up to where you can go buy a car with a low interest rate. Now, if you don't pay them, well, I mean, you just talk to Johnny at the mortgage company. He says, yeah, no, don't pay it. Don't pay it for a few months. You'll be fine. Well, next thing you know, you see dings on your credit report and your score goes down 100 points. So I want you to be careful about the credit reporting of that as well. You need to have it in writing saying that we will do a forbearance. We will do a mortgage forbearance for you, but we will not ding your credit. I think that's one of the important things to talk to them about.
So what happens though if you have it in writing, but they do ding your credit afterwards? What's your next step?
The next step is you have to deal with the credit reporting companies directly to try to get it repaired, or there's going to have to be some sort of cause of action against that lender for doing that. But that's why I want you to have it in writing, though.
Yeah.
This is not something new, though, to the mortgage industry. Mortgage forbearance didn't come up with Irma, so all the major lenders are familiar with the concept, but like Justin said, you're going to want to make sure that you keep really good notes. When did I call? Who did I talk to? What sort of confirmation number did they give me? Ask them to send you something in writing. Make sure that as you receive stuff in the mail that they're not saying you're behind. Don't let that go and assume, oh, well, no, they've noted my account. No, you need to get back on the phone and revisit the idea. But for a lot of people, they need that extra cash to be able to make these hurricane repairs.
Let me give you worst case scenario as well. Let's say that you simply can't pay for the repairs and your mortgage, and they won't answer your calls, or they're not going to help you. I've handled a few foreclosure cases in my day, obviously. Generally speaking, if they won't help you at all, but you just can't make the mortgage payment, they're not going to foreclose for at least 90 days. So, I mean, worst case scenario, even if you take a credit ding, I mean, if you have to make the decision, save my home and save my family's safety versus paying the mortgage payment, they're probably not going to foreclose for 90 days. So as long as you can catch it up down the road. But I would think that most of these mortgage companies now are going to offer some type of forbearance program that's going to help you through this.
Well, I would think they would not want to take the PR hit as well.
There you go. You absolutely think so.
Because you would not want, they wouldn't want to look bad saying we're the one company that didn't give the mortgage forbearance when all these other mortgage companies were.
Well, and if they're willing to offer the forbearance and then you can get back on track and go back to paying your monthly payments, they would certainly much rather have that than to see your property go into foreclosure down the road because they didn't offer it. So it's definitely worth a conversation. Don't go ahead and make the decision, oh, well, there's no way they're going to give it to me, and just stop paying. Make the phone call, ask for help, check their website, things like that. Do your homework and ask. Don't just make the decision not to pay your mortgage.
I think there's also a distinction between huge mortgage company versus small local mortgage company or credit union. I think if it's a small local bank, local credit union, you can literally walk into the branch and talk to someone. You go talk face to face with the branch manager and you might get somewhere. Now, if it's one of these big national mortgage companies, that's not really going to be possible. I mean, you can go to the branch and they're just going to tell you to call that 1-800 number. So I think you need to look and see if you have a big mortgage company versus a small local mortgage company. If it's small local, go in and say hi. There's nothing wrong with that. If it's a big one, you're probably going to want to go on the website, find the section for mortgage forbearance, and call that number. Make sure you get it in writing. Make sure your credit doesn't take the hit of not paying.
Yeah, it seems like, what do you have to lose at this point, especially if your down payments, especially if you just need that money. And like you said, the worst case scenario is, they wouldn't foreclose for 90 days. And like you said, Holly, I don't think they don't want to foreclose. They want you to keep making those payments.
That's
what's
what they're
best
in business
them.
for.
So it seems like it's what's best for them to also work with them in terms of getting this mortgage forbearance and getting some payments backed up a little bit. How common is it, though? Is it pretty common for mortgage companies to do this in hurricane situations or situations like this? Or is this kind of like probably not going to happen for a lot of people?
In a situation like this, I think it is common. And now also, we're on the heels of Hurricane Harvey as well. So we have a little immediate training in this. So the banks are already kind of set up for this whole natural disaster. Let's give these people some relief. So I think it's good for us in a way that they just went through it over in Texas, because now they already have some people in place. They probably have an increase in staff in the mortgage forbearance department, so to speak. So they're still going through it in Texas, but that really got them geared up. Having these two terrible tragedies back to back has probably helped us in Florida. Not that we wanted it to happen in Texas, obviously, but I think it's probably helped us because it has the banks geared up for that.
All right, so first step, call your mortgage company. Say, is this a possibility? Give them the outline of your situation and saying, I could really use this help, and see what happens. Second step, I'm just making sure I'm getting all this right for everyone. Second step is make sure that whatever happens, whatever deal you make with them, that it's done in writing.
Fully documented. And
then make sure to check with them afterwards and check your credit score pretty soon afterwards and make sure you did not get a ding on your credit score.
Yeah, I think today is the day to call. Most of the time you have until at least the 15th to make that mortgage payment. They give you a little bit of a grace period. We're sitting here on the 13th right now. I think today, tomorrow, Friday, get on the phone with them. If you can't afford it or it's really going to put you out, make these calls. Make these calls now before you suffer through and not have any money by making the payment this month. Let's see if they're going to help you. Now is the time. Do it today. Do it tonight. Or go to the local lender tomorrow and talk to them about it. And I think they're going to help you. I think they're going to do the right thing.
Yeah, I'm guessing that you don't want to wait too long. because the longer you wait, the less likely it is that they're going to want to help you.
Right. You want to make sure that you stay within this window of probability that your damage or the reason you're asking for the forbearance is truly related to the hurricane and truly related to damage. And as power starts to come back on and as people start to return to their homes to find this damage, certainly you don't want to wait. So you want to make the phone call. Make sure you tell your lender, look, I want to keep this property. This is my home. I have no intentions of foreclosing. I'm asking for assistance, for some short-term assistance, if you need it. If you don't need it, if insurance is taking care of you and you've got that deductible money, then leave the money in play for the other people in Florida. But if you need the help, ask for it. Don't get yourself into a situation because there's not enough money to go around.
And I think this is really great advice. So after the mortgage forbearance, after you get that handled, the next step obviously is going to be dealing with your insurance company and dealing with repairs. So we want to talk about that in the next segment. You are listening to Drive Time with Holly Sammons. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe, and we want to thank attorney Justin Clark for giving us the expertise on mortgage forbearance. And we're going to talk about what you need to know as a consumer coming up next.
News, weather, and traffic.
For the smartest audience in talk radio, this is News Radio 1025. The storm is over, but the recovery continues. Stay with News Radio 1025.
In the WFLA News Center, I'm Gordon Bird. News Radio 1025 WFLA. The news is a service of Trustco Bank, Florida's hometown bank. Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs is sounding the alarm after 3 county residents died of carbon monoxide poisoning while running generators. She says use a carbon monoxide detector if you have one.
But no matter what, do not use your generators inside of your home. Do not use your generators inside of your garage. Do not use your generators inside of your business.
Now another Central Florida death from carbon monoxide. A 7-year-old girl found dead at a home in Lakeland that had a generator running. 5 people have lost their lives to carbon monoxide in 24 hours. People are being told to stay away from a huge hole that opened up behind a Popka Memorial Middle School. It devoured part of the West Orange Trail this morning. No injuries reported so far. All day, every day, news, weather, and traffic on News Radio 1025 WFLA. I'm Gordon Bird.
Trustco Bank has hometown checking with free use of over 55,000 ATMs. Member FDIC.
This report is brought to you by Grainger.
Well, we're looking at problems right now from an accident involving several vehicles northbound on Florida's Turnpike. The right lanes are blocked to exit onto I-4. We're also seeing stop-and-go traffic on the Turnpike southbound just past I-4 all the way to Osceola Parkway. Eastbound travel on the 408, stop-and-go between Chickasaw Trail and Rouse Road. Looks like they cleared up that earlier accident, overturned vehicle involved there. When you see traffic problems, call the Safe Touch Security tip line at 866-676-8477. From the Traffic Center, I'm Paige Carrera.
Grainger is here to help area businesses with the supplies and equipment that can help you recover from the storm. Head to Grainger.com now to locate your nearest branch or call 1-800-GRAINGER. They're standing by to help. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here's your News Radio 1025 exclusive AccuWeather forecast. Wednesday night, patchy clouds with a low of 70 to 76. Thursday, some sun with a shower or thunderstorm around, and humid with a high of 87 to 90. Thursday night, mostly cloudy and humid with a low of 72 to 76. Friday, times of clouds and sun with a thunderstorm, and it's humid with a high of 87 to 89. News, weather, and traffic every 10 minutes in the morning. I'm Alex Rabb, News Radio, 1025 WFLA.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Investors changed their minds a lot, but in the end, they didn't have any second thoughts about the records set across the board this week. They did it again, posting new record closes for all 3 averages on weak gains. The Dow rose 39 points to 22,158. The Nasdaq 6 to 6460. The S&P added 2, taking it a breath away from 2,500. Sam Stovall of CFRA Research says investors may have to batter away at that benchmark.
Historically, those large round numbers end up acting like rusty doors and require several attempts before they finally swing open.
Energy stocks led the gains in the Dow and S&P after the government reported a record drop in gas inventories and the International Energy Agency indicated the OPEC production cutback may be cutting into oversupplies. And the Trump administration is blocking the sale of Lattice Semiconductor to a group of Chinese investment funds, citing the risk to national security. I'm Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
Nelson Financial Planning offers securities through Nelson Ivest Brokerage Service, member SIPC and FINRA. Listen to Joel Garris on Dollars and Cents every Sunday morning at 9 right here on News Radio 1025 WFLA.
Finding great people to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Tired of it? It's time to try ZipRecruiter, where 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within one day. How? Using powerful technology, ZipRecruiter matches your job to the right candidates fast. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
News Radio 1025 WFLA.
Still on AM 540.
Welcome back to Drive Time with Holly. Business and consumer news you can trust.
Yes, welcome back, everyone. This is Drive Time with Holly. I am your host, Michael Yaffe, and of course, Holly Sammons is joining me as well. And we're talking, obviously, Hurricane Irma.
What else?
Yeah, what else would there be to talk about? It's kind of funny, too. I've been almost kind of distracted because of Hurricane Irma. I usually keep up with a lot of other news.
Right.
And I'm kind of catching up on a lot of that because it distracted me so much.
And I find myself almost offended when I'm on social media that I have friends and family that are talking about anything else. It's like, don't you realize we're hurting?
Yeah, that's funny.
We're without power. We need you to sympathize and empathize with us. What are you sharing these ridiculous memes for? Get back to us.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, some of them probably just want the distraction, though, I think, from all the craziness. On my social media today, I'm getting a bunch of either complaining that they don't have power or, yay, praising. I have power.
Right.
Those are the big ones. So as you get power back in your house and as you start to clean up your yard and get back to everything.
Empty the fridge.
Yeah, empty the fridge and throw away a lot of things that spoiled. I'm going to have to do that as well because I think I'm still without power unless it came on within the last hour.
You better hurry and get to that fridge.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to throw out a lot. Luckily, I didn't really have any I live in like a condo, but luckily I didn't really have any damage or anything. No flooding, no leaks, no damage to any windows or anything.
Best case scenario.
Yeah, definitely best case scenario. I was worried about my car because I parked in the parking lot here and there's some trees and there was a small tree that went down right next to my car and it just missed my car. So that could have been
And that's another
really
thing
bad.
that consumers are going to need to look out for in the weeks and months to come. If you go to buy a car, especially a used car, it's a question to ask. Has this vehicle been flooded? Because on my way home yesterday, I saw new and used vehicles on lots with their doors wide open. You know what that says to me? They were wet inside.
Really? Already saw that?
Yes. So you want to make sure that in the days and weeks to come, if you're buying a new or used car, it's worth asking the question.
Yes.
It's worth pulling up the mats, taking a good sniff just to make sure that car's not been wet or flooded.
Now, I don't know this for sure, but I would think that the Carfax would have that in its record.
If it's properly reported.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, it has to be properly reported. So we're speaking of, that's one thing consumers need to look at. Most consumers are probably more worried about their house and the situation with their house and insurance claims. What would your advice be to them to do immediately, their very first steps as they look to try to get repairs done?
The very first step, obviously, is to evaluate the situation and determine, will my family or will I be in danger returning to the property? And if the answer is no, I'm not going to be in danger, but I'm certainly going to be uncomfortable, then you want to start to assess the damage. You want to contact your insurance provider immediately and go ahead and get a claim in process, or go ahead and contact them and familiarize yourself with what your deductible is. And then you got to make a decision. What's in my best interest? Do I want to file this claim, or is the amount of my damage less than my deductible?
Yeah, I bet there probably are a lot of people out there who don't really know what their deductible is.
Yeah,
they've never had to know before. So now's the time to call.
Yeah, and if you're without power and you're hot and bothered and uncomfortable and stressed out and you can't easily get your fingers on your policy paperwork, just pick up the phone, call them, ask to speak to someone, ask for those details over the phone, and then you can make a decision. Don't dig through piles and piles of paper if your power is out. Just pick up the phone and give them a call, and then make the decision.
Now, what about those who are displaced? What about those who go to their home and they're like, I can't live here. This is unlivable. What do they do first?
Well, so they've contacted their insurance company. I would photograph the damage. I would even video the damage, get the claim started, find out what the allowances are on your policy. And if you have to be displaced, you have to go to a hotel. If you have to buy an air mattress, if you have to buy creature comforts within reason because you've been displaced, keep those receipts, keep the notes, because there are homeowners insurance policies that will allow for reimbursement for some of those expenses.
Oh, that's good to know. So if you are you're displaced, you have to go maybe to another place and you have to buy an air mattress and stay on their floor or something, there's a chance the insurance company will cover that?
It's not a guarantee, but any expenses related to you being displaced, it's worth keeping the receipts. It's worth keeping notes. When you make the phone call to start your claim, if you've talked to a real live person, let them know, I've got a lot of water damage. I can't possibly stay in my home. I have to get a hotel. Is that going to be covered? Go ahead and ask the question up front. But best case scenario, it'll be reimbursed. Worst case scenario, keep your receipts. Make sure you don't spend more than you can afford, of course, depending on the reimbursement. But keep your receipts just in case that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And you keep mentioning that you should give them a call. I'm one of those people as well that I want to talk to someone on the phone. I want to talk to someone directly. So if I have questions about my insurance, I think it's good advice just to pick up the phone and give them a call and ask them questions directly instead of, trying to figure it out yourself.
Well, and there are a lot of people out there right now who are having to drive a few miles down the road. They're having to drive to a public place to get good cell phone coverage, to get internet connection on their device, period. So, save yourself the stress and hassle of using your cell phone to dig through your insurance company's website or try to view on the screen your policy details. Pick up the phone, ask the questions to a real live person. They're going to have people likely 24/7 available to talk to you.
Yeah.
And ask the question again and again until you get the answer that you understand. You may not get the answer that you like, but ask until you understand, because when you're hot, when you're in crisis, when your life has been turned upside down, there's a little bit of peace and calm that can come from an understanding of what I have available to me, who's going to take care of this, and how do I get the process started.
Yeah, and you were also talking about a little bit earlier, you were talking about documenting the damage, videotaping the damage. I mean, what do you think they should have in those videos and those pictures specifically? What really do they need to make sure is in all that?
I'd make sure that I don't just have uptight photos of the damage. Make sure that you have photos of the damage that incorporates, the room, so that you can see exactly where in this room is the damage. Take a lot of pictures, and then once you get to a place where you have cell service or you have internet service, email those to yourself so that they're not only living on your cell phone, to make sure that you have them. And then when you contact your insurance company, find out, how can I get these photos to you? Do you need the photos? They may say, no, we're going to send out an adjuster. What you want to make sure is that when the adjuster gets there in the days and weeks ahead, you want to make sure that what the adjuster sees and what you saw are the same thing, and your photos could serve as backup for that.
All right, so the next step, obviously, after you're dealing with the insurance company, you're figuring out how all that's going to work, the adjustment, the amount of money you're going to get, your deductible. The next big step is calling a contractor or calling a repairman and figuring out which is the best one for you. And I'm guessing there are a lot of scammers out there.
Well, there are going to be a lot of people out there eager to do the work for you, but it's important to draw the distinction, to draw the line between the people who are properly licensed and have the proper workers' comp, the proper liability insurance. Draw a distinction between those people and the storm chasers, the people who have blown into town, literally, just on the heels of the storm, because they know that there are thousands of people who are going to get waitlisted on local businesses, because of local businesses being busy.
It's already happening, I'm sure.
Yeah. On my way home yesterday, we stopped for lunch, and there were two emergency disaster cleanup businesses. Their trucks were in the parking lot from Kansas. So they're here. I took photos of the trucks so that we can kind of start to keep track of who's in town. Now, that's not to say just because a business comes from out of state that they're not properly licensed. But are they properly licensed to do the work in Florida?
That's a good point. I didn't really think about. are there some, I'm guessing some of them might be licensed to do it somewhere else, but not in Florida?
That could be the case. And there are some industries where the state of Florida has very specific licensing requirements because the needs of Floridians for our climate, think about the needs for a roof and for windows in Florida.
Yeah.
Hello, hurricane.
Yeah.
And the needs of someone, say, in another state that doesn't have to worry about tornadoes or hurricanes. Their standards may very well be different. And the state of Florida puts those rules in place to protect consumers, to make sure that you're getting a window and a roof and you're getting repairs that are going to protect you when the Cat 3 comes or the Cat 5 comes as best as can be expected. But if someone comes in and just throws a window in your wall and they're not properly licensed, they don't know what they're doing, they haven't pulled a permit, are you really going to be protected when the next storm blows into town?
This is a lot of great information. I know there's a lot of people listening out there right now who have a lot of questions about this, who are wondering about this. Some of them might be a little freaked out about what to do next. We're going to get you through it. We're going to answer some of your questions, especially on the consumer aspect. We also want to get into what businesses should do next, and we'll talk about that as well. And maybe people who think they can make the repairs on their own, talk about exactly what they need to know while they're going through this process. So you are listening to Drive Time with Holly. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe, joined by, of course, Holly Sammons, and we will be right back.
Hey, the Budman here for my good friend Dr. Ken Cronhouse and his great staff at Lake Cardiology, home of the BudScan 2.0 heart scan that can save your life. It's the best in the medical field, and most insurance will cover the cost of this groundbreaking heart scan from Dr. Cronhouse at Lake Cardiology. His original Bud scan saved my life by revealing developing blockages in my coronary arteries for which I had no symptoms. Take out some heart insurance yourself and find out exactly what shape your ticker is in. You could get the same life-saving call to action from Dr. Cronhouse and his staff that I got. And I'm telling you right now, it is precious, the quality of heart care and heart care technology from my doctor, Ken Cronhouse at Lake Cardiology. Call and learn more. By the way, most insurance will cover the BudScan 2.0 heart scan from Dr. K. 352-735-1400 is the number, 352-735-1400.
Hey, I bet you didn't know this. Broadcast radio reaches more people in America than TV. Yeah, AM/FM radio. The radio that's free in your car, your kitchen, your office. Broadcast radio reaches more adults, teens, and millennials. More of everyone, more shoppers. Broadcast radio reaches 93% of Americans every week. That's bigger than TV, Facebook, and Google. Now, if you're a marketer who needs to reach new fans, visit iHeartMedia.com for the one place everyone is listening, AM/FM radio.
Are you thinking of selling your home? Hi, this is Deborah Roberts with important news for you. Why work with an ordinary real estate agent when you can call one of the top real estate teams in Central Florida? You may have heard Laura's show on Sunday morning right here on WFLA. That's right. Call my friend Laura Peterson at Frontgate Realty. Why waste time with an ordinary agent when Laura may already have a buyer for you? In fact, Laura and her team currently have buyers in their exclusive Buyers in Waiting program. The fact is they have more buyers, which means more money and a faster sale for you. Laura's time frame for selling homes is 35% faster than the average agent, and at the same time, they also get their clients 8% more money. Laura is so confident that your home will sell that they'll guarantee it in writing. If your home doesn't sell, she'll buy it at a price acceptable to you. That's right, guaranteed. So if you're selling your home, call Laura Peterson today at 407-566-2555. Again, that's 407-566-2555. Or go to laurahasthebuyers.com.
The best underwear feels fresh, never rides up, and offers full support. This is Frigo, state-of-the-art underwear designed in Sweden. Frigo is the only underwear with patented moisture-wicking technology for peak performance. Frigo means dry and cool in Latin. That is exactly what Frigo does. Keeps you dry and cool. Spell it, F-R-I-G-O, and get yours now at iwearfrigo.com.
Let's be better consumers. You're listening to Drive Time with Holly.
And yes, I am your host, Michael Yaffe, as well. And this is the show where you can become a better consumer. And we're giving a lot of good advice here on consumers out there. I know a lot of you are listening right now dealing with repairs on your home after Hurricane Irma, because Hurricane Irma is still, even though it's gone, finally, it's still on everyone's
still lingering.
Yeah, it's still on everyone's mind. And we were talking about, Holly, especially in the break, what to look out for when dealing with scammers, dealing with storm chasers, dealing with, I think the biggest thing is during these times of crisis, there are people that are going to drive here from out of state, and they're going to show up at your door. And they're going to knock on doors and be like, hey, need anything fixed? I can do it. I can make it easy. I can do it real cheap. And it sounds great.
Tempting.
But it's not always great.
It's not always great. If someone blows into town, if we're talking about a storm chaser, they could come into town. They may or may not be licensed in their state or ours.
Yeah.
They may or may not have appropriate workers' comp or liability insurance. So let's say, best case scenario, they come onto your property and they do the work. What happens when one of their employees falls off a ladder on your property and that business doesn't have workers' comp?
Yeah, that you're stuck with.
You all of a sudden have your bad situation has turned worse. So
very a lot worse, because you're stuck with the liability of it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So your repairs just got a whole lot more expensive, and your situation just got a whole lot more stressful. But if someone is coming door to door looking for work, I mean, right now that's a huge red flag, because competent, legitimate businesses, they're developing a wait list. So if someone's coming, knocking door to door, looking for work, that's a red flag. I would question, where are you from? If they say they're from Central Florida, the next thing you want to go to is licensing. You want to go to workers' comp information, liability information.
How do they find that information?
Well, they should be able to almost recite it to you, and then if you don't feel like that you have time to do the appropriate research, either to pick up the phone and call Better Business Bureau, or contact the state of Florida to check on that license number. If you don't feel like you're being given time to make a good decision, or if you feel yourself rushing into a decision, do your best to put your emotions in check and say, I only have the money for this repair one time. I'm going to take your information. I'm going to follow up on your license information. I'm going to follow up on this, and I'll call you back. And if they say, look, buddy, you decide now, or I'm moving down the road and I will find other work, then that's not someone you want to deal with. A good, competent, legitimate business, they appreciate a good consumer.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want someone who's willing to take anyone off the street. So if someone comes knocking door to door, offering their services free, or not free, they're not going to offer for free. If they do, there's something coming.
Yeah, of course.
But if they're offering it at a reduced rate, if they're offering it now, but you have to make a decision now, those are red flags. Even though you're in crisis, even though you're completely stressed out, that's what they're praying.
That's what they're praying upon.
That's what they're hoping for.
They want you to be desperate, and they're preying upon your desperation. Don't let them do that.
That's right. There are a lot of good Central Florida businesses who are here to help you, and who are more than willing and able to do a quality job for you. They're going to get to you. And even some of those businesses who bring reinforcements from out of state, certainly there are legitimate businesses coming into town to serve as backup. But anytime someone comes from out of state or comes to your door, those are the people that you want to do just that extra level of research on. Because again, getting back to what we talked about with Justin, I've got the money to spend one time. And I certainly don't want to.
And I'm guessing the insurance is not going to cover it at the second time.
Well, and that's what you want to be sure of, is if you allow someone who is unlicensed, if you allow someone that your insurance has not approved to do work, you could really be in trouble with your insurance company for having unlicensed work done on your home.
Oh, that's a good point.
If that work turns into more problems, if let's say you have a window repaired, the next time it rains, more water comes in, you're going to have a tough time claiming that's hurricane damage when you had someone repair that window and that window wasn't repaired properly, and now I have additional damage. So, rule of thumb is do it right the first time.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. And you had mentioned earlier that if they wanted to find out some information, they could call the Better Business Bureau?
Sure. So BBB.org, so Better Business Bureau, BBB.org, that is a site where you could check on the name or the phone number or the website of a business
for
a company anywhere in the country. Here locally in Central Florida, you can go to findbbb.org. That's FINDBBB.org. Or Google us, call us locally.
Yeah.
Stop by. We've got air conditioning. We'd be happy to give you a cold water and let you sit in the air for a while. Use some
You might have a
Wi-Fi.
line out the door after this show.
Right.
After saying that.
We really want to make sure that we can make ourselves available to help consumers because, again, we want good, quality, competent, legitimate businesses to get the work, not necessarily, two guys in a truck that roll up and offer their services.
So one last thing before we end today. I know there's a lot of people that, around the country, but even here, who want to help for relief victims, not only for us here after Irma, but for Hurricane Harvey in Texas.
Right.
Are there any good places out there, in terms of, I think a lot of people are worried that they want to give to the right place.
Right.
So what are some good ways to help them out with that? Who's the right person to give to?
So if you're considering making a donation to benefit the victims or donating, you see people asking for diapers and wipes and things like that. You want to make sure that, again, just like with the repairs, that when you make the donation, that it's going to the right place. It's going to be applied properly. So you can go to give.org, give.org, and look up a charity. You want to make sure that it's someone that has some longevity. If it is a charity that has popped up just in the wake of either of these two hurricanes, and that they haven't really been around long enough for us to know, are they going to do things the right way? Are they going to spend the money the way they said they're going to spend it?
And I think a lot of people are concerned about that.
Yeah. So there are certainly well-established nonprofits, both locally and across the country, who are accepting and receiving donations. We saw last night on TV there was a big ask, right, mm-hmm. by celebrities. So certainly if you feel compelled to give, make sure that you do your research. You can contact Better Business Bureau, or like I said, go to give.org, because there are certainly questions you want to ask.
Right, and of course, just help your neighbor. Help your family members.
Right.
Help your neighbor.
Help someone clear their driveway.
Yeah, I mean, little things like that. If you don't have the money to give because you might have repairs yourself, I think just a little act of kindness like that can go a long way. I know I've been helping my family. My family's been helping me. Yeah. You've been helping fellow employees.
Yeah, you may know that you've got a neighbor or who needs the water, who needs help cleaning out their fridge. Knock on the door.
All right, you've been listening to Drive Time with Holly, with none other than Holly Sammons, who is the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Central Florida. And I am your host, Michael Yaffe. We're giving you consumer and business news every week here on News Radio 102.5 WFLA, and we'll catch you guys next time.
News, weather, traffic. News Radio 102.5 WFLA.
Nelson Financial Planning offers securities through Nelson Ivest Brokerage Service, member SIPC and FINRA. Listen to Joel Garris on Dollars and Cents every Sunday morning at 9 right here on News Radio 102.5 WFLA.
Life doesn't stop for car trouble, work, school, dentist appointments, the workout you wouldn't mind skipping. Our cars connect us to our lives, so wouldn't it be reassuring to know that our cars are up to the job? Enter Hum by Verizon, the technology that connects you to your car. Now you can check your car's health from your phone with vehicle diagnostics. Get advice on the go with a certified mechanics hotline. And if Hum detects a collision, it can send help automatically with 24/7 emergency assistance. Get Hum and get where you're going. Learn more at hum.com.
An important message for customers of Kissimmee Utility Authority, KUA. We are experiencing widespread outages resulting from Hurricane Irma. If your power is out, report the outage just once to 407-933-9898, 407-933-9898, or online at KUA.com. Remember to stay away from down power lines and equipment. Thank you for your patience.
The IRS doesn't mess around. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. If you owe back taxes, call Optima Tax Relief. Optima has access to a special IRS program called the Fresh Start Initiative, and their clients that qualify are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. Optima is A-rated with the Better Business Bureau. Don't delay. Call now for your free consultation.
Call 800-960-1575. 800-960-1575.
Last year, corporate data breaches were up 40%. This year, it could be worse. Find out if your data is at risk with a free dark web email scan, only from Experian. In less than a minute, you'll know if your identity is at risk. Go to Experian.com/scan to help keep your identity yours with Experian.
Bill O'Reilly on the Glenn Beck program.
I tweeted this today, and I've got 2 million tweet followers, and they follow me around wherever I go. 2 million people.
2 million. Wow.
Yeah. Now, I think that's pretty good.
It is. Pretty good. It is good for a guy, especially for a guy who says the Twitter and the tweeter. I'm on the tweeter. I don't mean to quibble here, but you have 1.98, not 2.
Glenn Beck, weekdays 9 till noon. News Radio 102.5 WFLA. WFLA Fine Hill.